Hi, this is a screencast on creating pie and bar charts, which can be used for non-quantitative data, such as what we have in this list here. It's categorical or qualitative data. It's a list of the year of each of the 46 students that are currently enrolled in Math 240 this semester. We're going to start by creating a frequency distribution table, which has 3 columns. The first one is the category column, which in this case, our category is year of student. The second column is frequency, and the third column is relative frequency. And we'll format that a little bit. Let's make those bold, put them in the center vertically and horizontally, and then wrap that text. Okay. Under year, we want to list out all of the years, and we want to make sure it matches up exactly with how they are represented in our list of data. So we're going to use uppercase abbreviations for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Now that's because in our frequency column we're going to use an Excel function. Our Excel function that we're going to use is COUNTIF. So we type in equals COUNTIF, open parenthesis. There's 2 inputs. The first one is the range. It's the range of cells that has the data in it that we're going to count up. So that's all in column A. So for that range, I can just click on that A on the top of the column. It's going to select that whole column and then hit a comma. Now we want to enter the criteria. So what is it that we want it to count in that column A? Well, in this cell, we want it to count where it has a freshman, FR. So I'm going to click on that cell that has that FR, that freshman reference in it. Now, close parentheses, hit enter, and there we get our frequency. Excel has used that function to count up the number of times FR shows up in column A. We can copy that down by just dragging that cell. And as we copy that down, that reference to the year, the category, moves down with it. For freshmen, it was referencing this cell, C2. For sophomores, we copied it down one, so now it's referencing C3, where sophomore is. Same for junior and senior. Let's put a total, a sum, just to make sure we got all 46. So sum is 46. Let's make that bold. Now, let's do relative frequency. Now, relative frequency is the percentage of the number of times each of these categories shows up over the total. So we're going to use a formula. We can go equals, click on the frequency, and then divide by the total, which we just calculated down here, and hit enter. So it gives us kind of this messy decimal. Let's change that format to percentage and go out 1 decimal place. Now we're going to be able to copy this down too like we did with frequency, but we need to be mindful about which cells we want to be relative, which cells we want to be absolute. As we copy it down, we want the numerator part, the frequency part, to change, but we don't want the denominator part to change. We want to have it stay referencing this cell D6. We do not want that row number to change. So to make that absolute, to make it not change, we put a $ in front of that 6. And now we can copy that down, and we can look at the cells now and see that they change in the numerator, but they don't change in the denominator. It stays referencing cell D6, and we get the relative frequency or the proportion for each of those categories. Now, if we put a sum in here, we should get 100%. Okay. Now we can do a lot more formatting on this table. I'm going to leave it like it is for now. I guess I just will center the categories. Next thing is the pie chart. So to create the pie chart, first we're going to highlight the data that we want to include in the pie chart. Now we can highlight the data with the labels like this, or we can highlight it without the labels. Either way is going to work. Once we have the categories and the frequency highlighted, we go to Insert and choose the pie chart. And we want just the flat pie chart. We don't want any pullouts. We don't want the donut. We definitely don't want the 3D. And it just gives you the pie chart, but you've got several options for formatting. All right, we can scroll through these and see what changes. It changes some of whether there's a legend or not. It changes what the pie pieces look like. And I'm going to keep going here until I find the one that I like. This is not it yet. We're almost there. And this is it right here. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to do a little bit of more formatting here. We can actually give the chart a title that has some meaning. So just kind of click on that chart title, double click to highlight what's in there, and I'm going to rename this Year of Math 240 Students. Okay, we're going to actually tell the one that's looking at it what they're looking at. Now, since we've got labels and we've got percentages on these pie chart pieces, we actually don't need to have this legend. So if we select that legend, we can delete it. All right, so I've selected it. Now I'm hitting legend and I'm hitting delete and it's going away. I often find that the font size is too small sometimes when Excel creates a chart, so I like to make those bigger. So I just clicked on one of those labels and it selected them all. And now I can go to the font size and increase it to where I feel like it's visible, and I can make those bold. Now Junior kind of gets scrunched here, so let's see what we can do with that. Now if you click on one of those labels, it's going to select them all, but then if you click on another one, it'll just select that one. Now I'm going to pull that out so that it's not crunched in that slice, that pie slice, and then it automatically puts this line in to indicate that that label goes with that piece of the pie. Okay, there we've got a pie chart for the data. Now, let's look at creating a bar chart. So we're going to start off the same way. We select the year and the frequency. Again, we go to Insert, and we want, it's actually a column chart is what Excel calls it. So you can see how I highlight that. It looks like column, but that's what we think of as a bar chart. And we want this clustered column. Now we're only going to have one bar per category. Oops. And again, it's giving us a bunch of options for what we want it to look like. This actually works pretty well, this first one here. There's definitely a lot of different formatting things we can do. Again, we want to actually give this a meaningful title. Let's change that to Year of Math 240 Students. And we don't need this. Again, the labels are a little small, so we can make those bigger. And okay, so we have a simple bar chart. There's a bar for each of the years, and its height corresponds to the frequency. Now, sometimes we want to have relative frequency in our bar chart. Okay, so what if we do all this work, we create the frequency bar chart, and we want relative frequency. We've done all the formatting. We don't have to start all over again. Let's just take a copy of what we have here. So I'm going to select this chart. I'm going to do copy, Command C, go to another place on the spreadsheet, and do Command V for paste. Okay, so it looks the exact same. Instead of having frequency along here, I want relative frequency. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you select one of the bars, okay, all of the bars are selected, and then in the table, it references where the data is coming from that they're creating that chart from. Now, I can actually drag this blue box over. So I go to the edge, get to where I have that hand, click down and just drag, oops, too far, drag that box over to relative frequency. Now, all that changes is the labeling on the vertical axis. All that changes is the vertical axis. Now, let's change that formatting to percentage. And to do that, we highlight the vertical axis labels. We're going to need to double click here and get the formatting dialog box. It's going to look different versions of Excel, but it's going to give us the option to change that formatting. It's going to be under text options. Maybe not. Axis options. I think we need to go all the way down to the bottom to number. And we want category to be percentage. Percentage. And decimal places on that axis, we want 0. And enter. Okay. All right, we can close this out, and that gives us a bar chart using relative frequency instead of just frequency. Okay, that's it for pie charts and frequency distribution tables and bar charts.